Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Indy Deal Discovery. My name is Evan Manship with Mainstay Property Group, coming at you live from Mainstay Property Group headquarters in Southern Broad Ripple, beautiful Southern Broad Ripple, with my ugly half, Clayton Manship, wearing the identical shirt that I am today. We didn't talk about it, but here we are nonetheless. Clay, happy wedding week, man. Congrats.
Wedding week, man. We're just going for round 3, trying to get married. Glad to finally be rounding the, what do they call the home stretch, yeah? Be bringing it all in.
Yeah, I think you're like on a squeeze bunt at this point. Like it's not happening.
Squeeze bunt, trying to suicide it up. Just trying to actually score a run.
Yeah, congrats,
Shockingly
man.
enough, thank you.
We're happy for you. Happy that's finally going down.
How's the best man speech coming along?
I got like 2 or 3 more lines to go. I can't figure out how to put a punctuation mark on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening, but I guess you'll find out on Saturday. We'll
Looking
see.
forward to it.
For those of you that don't know, Clay's getting married on Saturday. I guess we should have started with that. Clay's getting married on Saturday after 2 previous iterations, which were canceled by our friend Miss Coronavirus. That made that go away. But either way, Clay and I are coming at you for the second straight week of Indy Deal Discovery because Clay will be out of town next Monday through, God, when do you come back?
I leave, was it Tuesday the 7th, get back on the 21st, so heading out to Jamaica, man.
Jamaica, man.
I'll be out underwriting
Clay's
deals
Jamaican me
man.
crazy because I'm going to be here by myself doing probably Indy Deal Discovery.
Lonely Deal Discovery.
Probably Free Money Friday by myself. Hey, Ryan, can we do something really funny with Free Money Friday here? Actually, we set up something really cool here. Ryan Nelson, our media director, has a new cool camera here where you can see Ryan Nelson's face. He's like Bear from, I guess, College Game Day.
Yeah, man.
Ryan, shoot your face up there and tell the crowd hello.
Hi.
So either way, listen, we're bringing you here today Indy Deal Discovery. Just like I had multi-wedding ideas, we're having multifamily properties here on Indy Deal Discovery today. We're talking more, as it's classified per FHA and HUD guidelines, a multifamily property is something in between, well, at least from what we're going to discuss today, 2 units and 4 units, okay? Anything 4 units and above is what's technically called commercial property. And I'm happy to go through that with you guys, what my background's in, it's what Ev's background is in. But as far as today, we're just going to talk duplexes, 3 units and 4 unit properties. There's a bunch of arbitrage in this space, and multifamily is a great space for a lot of our investors that try and generate cash flow and accumulate net worth as well.
Yeah, so again, like Clay said, there are 2 different types of multifamily classifications. You have multifamily residential, which, like Clay said, are between 2 units and 4 units under the same roof. And then you have commercial multifamily, which is essentially 5 units to 5 million units under the same roof. So we're going to be
5 million units.
That makes me wonder what the biggest apartment complex in the world is. Certainly it's not 5 million units.
It.
While Clay Googles that, we're just going to make it extremely clear. We're not going to dive too much into the larger commercial multifamily space, just because it's few and far between. Frankly, the amount of multifamily that exists for Indianapolis inventory and Indianapolis investors is very, very limited. So in an effort to simplify things, we're going to do residential, multifamily between 2 and 4 units. Clay and I have bought, sold, traded, probably close to about 100 of these things in the last 5 or 6 years. So hoping to bring some knowledge, some insight here on what to expect when you invest in properties that are between 2 and 4 units.
For those keeping track at home, the Edificio Copan is a 118-meter tall, 38-story residential building in downtown Sao Paulo, Brazil. It has 1,160 apartments and is one of the largest buildings in all of Brazil. Edificio Copan, the more you know.
Okay, great. The more you know, knowledge is power. Got it. Clay, give me an example of a property you've worked with, maybe that'll be worthwhile, a duplex or a quad or something like that you can put together. Just talk to the folks a little bit
I think a really good example of one that is just again, let's just try to understand the fundamentals of what we're talking about, is 31 South Spencer in Irvington. It's a deal we worked with, earlier this year, right? Or 31.
Yeah, shout out to Alex. Shout out to Alex McIver, who was able to buy this thing, get this thing stabilized. And again, this is all on. Folks, for those of you that don't know and haven't watched Indy Deal Discovery before, everything you're looking at, what we're working with here, where it says up here in the top left corner, My Board Broker Listing Cooperative. This is the Indianapolis Metro version of the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service. So everything you see on here is on market. We did not sell this thing for whatever the hell it is, $24,900 here. or $12,000 back in the day.
Jesus.
This is all. I guess that's Norseman. Either way. We do all of our stuff off market, but this is just the biggest data source we have on how to, just guiding principles on how to make the best investment decisions possible. So,
Right.
Go ahead, Clay. Sorry to.
No, so
interrupt you.
again, I'm a huge fan of understanding very basic things. So I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so I want to make sure I understand super fundamentals before I start talking more complex issues. This is a duplex property, 2 units, and when I'm talking about multifamily properties, I'm really big on making sure they are built for the purpose of a duplex.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So what I don't want is a big old historic house that's been chopped up 100 times with drywall and lumber to accommodate 6 units. I don't want to accommodate units. I want units to bring themselves to the market.
Yeah, there's something to be said about being purpose-built.
Perfect, yeah.
For multifamily use, as opposed to, some, like you said, some big-ass Victorian that's chopped up into 8 different efficiency apartments. That's not the way to get rich.
And so, looking at this deal specifically, and frankly, I forget the numbers on it, so I'm just going to run them in my head real quick. What we're looking at here is a duplex in a good little neighborhood of Irvington. It's a little bit close to Irvington boundary, but it's a great little neighborhood that allows for, again, upside equity as well as cash flow at almost a 2% rule. And so when I'm looking at these deal like this, I want to make sure that when you're buying a duplex in the same, think about it this way. In Indianapolis, you can have a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house right next to a duplex unit that's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath unit. Right? In theory, most people, right, the demand for the product would usually lie on the house, a single-family home, your own backyard, your own driveway.
No walls to share with anybody.
No walls to share, right? There's no, they're not hearing noise, you're not hearing the backyard noise, no one's sharing a dog with all this stuff. So usually what I'm seeing with duplex units and single-family units is the majority of the better tenants want to live in a single-family property. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment to make?
Yeah, I think shy of maybe downtown where you have like these ultra sexy condos or apartments. Yeah, I think you're right.
And so what I want to make sure people understand is that in Indianapolis, the overwhelming rental differential is not that different. You can rent a single family house for $800, and right next door there might be a duplex unit, same square footage, same bedroom, bathroom for, call it $750.
Yep.
Right? Now, you as the astute owner of multifamily properties, I would beg you to understand the neighborhoods, because if you can find a property in an Irvington-type neighborhood, right, you're going to find tenants that stay. You're going to find tenants that want to be there, right? They're not bottom-of-the-barrel tenants that just had to luck into a random unit at a 550 credit score.
Yeah,
right?
The next step up from a trailer park type
exactly.
deal. Yeah, not the same.
Exactly. So you're going to find a lot of houses in this neighborhood. They're going to have rental units, north of $1,000 a month. And I forget what this one rented for, $750, $800, $850. I didn't see it.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
but I think what it's going to show you guys is that multifamily property is going to get you guys closer to that yield number as far as, rent to investment ratio, right? Going to get you a higher yield. But at the same time, you got to understand that multifamily properties holistically have a higher turnover ratio, right? You're going to have more turnover in a multifamily than you will a single family. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yep.
But if you can maximize that yield in a neighborhood that's going to provide stability, then you're getting the upside yield and none of the downside turnover, in my opinion. And I think we've seen that in the properties that we've owned as far as multifamily in the downtown neighborhoods that are sexy, kind of like Irvington.
Yeah, and actually, it's ironic you bring this up too, because this is a deal we sold to. Again, shout out to Alex and Grayson, who this was their first deal in Indy. And there's a really neat write-up on it on the Indianapolis Out-of-State Investors page. If you're not a part of it, I highly encourage you to hop on. Check out that Facebook group and ask questions, especially to Alex and Grayson. And Ryan, I think we have their testimonial coming out talking about this deal specifically. But anyway, this is, again, just a shout-out to them, because this was something that was leased up officially in the latter part of March. $800. They're all into this thing for like $115.
$115, okay.
So $115, let's call it $120 to make math ultra easy. Assuming each unit gets $800, which is what this one leased for in less than a month, we're talking $1,600 all in on a deal worth $120, or all in for $120 and probably worth $150, $160. I don't know.
So it's not dripping in equity, right? It's not the juiciest equity deal of all time.
No, but you're talking.
But they can still burr out of it, and they're still getting 1.5% yield to investment.
You're taking your money back out of the deal. You are, and again, if the bank is going to lend you 75% of what the thing's worth. Again, if it's worth 160 times 75, boy, that was just really bad.
All kinds of different math there.
that they're going to give you a loan for 120 grand, which is roughly what they're all in for. So they're going to get roughly all their money back out, and they're going to lease each unit for $800 or $1,600 a month, and they're all in for 120. I mean, that's a pretty neat little thing. 1.3% rule, and you're diversified across 2 units in a decent little neighborhood. That's as close to you can find to a slam dunk as possible.
Now, something I would encourage everyone to think about is not all duplexes are created equal, right? So let's say you have this deal in Irvington at 33 South Spencer, and to do the quick math, what's 1,600 divided by 120? So it's a 1.33% rent to investment ratio. Is that fair?
So rent to all-in ratio.
Rent to all-in investment ratio, 1.33%. That's decent. It's not the best in the world, right? I mean, you're not getting some juicy investment. But if you were to take this same ratio and apply it to a rough neighborhood, call it a 46218, a Brightwood type neighborhood, and you're getting the same ratio, I would beg you to ask the question, why? Right? It doesn't matter what the investment is, doesn't matter what the rent is, but if you're getting the same yield to investment ratio in a rougher neighborhood, it's going to require more turnover. It's going to have a lesser quality of tenant, right? I would encourage you to if you're buying something like that, I would encourage you to ask why, because it's supply and demand, risk and reward. If you're taking a higher risk in a worse neighborhood, to me it would make more sense to incur more return in that investment. Right? You should definitely take on a higher than 1.33%, seeing that 33 South Spencer is in an Irvington-esque neighborhood, and it makes more sense to me.
Yeah, and you can see why this was a desirable investment from an out-of-state perspective or an in-state perspective. I mean, this is a cool neighborhood.
Yeah.
2 units, 1.33% rule, equity upside, cash flowing currently. In fact, I think the reason that this was even a question when we first started talking about this deal was this was it's assessed at like $190,000.
It's assessed at $190? No.
Let's look it up. But I remember talking to the guys about this, and I was like, this is the one piece of the pie that you're getting kind of screwed by. But if there's a way to combat this, which there is, this is all of a sudden a massive cash cow. So the government thinks this thing's worth over the last 3 years at least 150. You can see that's not the case. I mean, again, we bought for 75, we sold for 85. And they put 20 into it. Let's call it 25 into it. This is cake. This is an all
easy, yeah.
Easy. And they're buying this thing as it's sat at 85, and the government thinks it's worth 175. So I mean, there's a massive upside here to combat taxes and therefore bolster value at the end of the day. So I'll shut up about that. But again, multifamily, there are many more moving pieces, both from a bad perspective, like a negative perspective, but also a winning perspective to make it a worthwhile investment.
Well, and guys, think about it this way: when you're running a pro forma income statement, you're analyzing the amount of cash that's going to come in on your investment. You've got top line rent, right? So let's call for this deal $1,600 a month, 800 times 2. Then you got 5 expenses. Always 5 expenses, unless you want to budget a little bit differently.
No, let's call it 5. I agree.
Taxes, insurance, property management, vacancy, and maintenance, right? 5 expenses are going to take away from that rent, okay? So if you have a tax implication that's going to be an enormous, what we call a siphon on your pro forma, right? It makes a difference. If you got rent of $1,600 a month and you've got taxes coming out of whatever that might be, $300 a month, whatever the math.
I'm just going to look up the tax bill now. You guys got me
right?
worried
so
about it.
If you're going to look at that and run an investment based on those 5 numbers alone, it would make sense to make sure you're combating that the right way. Make sure you're working with someone like Ev who understands property tax and can get that back down to the true value of, let's call it, 100, 120, 160.
Yeah, anything but 180.
Anything but 180, right. So it's a big difference. It can make a huge deal in your cash flow and also the way people perceive that investment. Big deal.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and look at this deal here. And you're going to see, I mean,
$2,100
right now, Alex and Grayson, if you guys are watching this, I feel badly for you. You're paying more in tax on this building than you are, or on this duplex than you are on this office building.
6,800 square foot office building.
Nelson, take that out. I don't want the Marion County assessor to get a hold of that info. But something worth. I mean, check this out. I mean, like you're paying $4,000 a year because they think your property's worth $172,500.
Yeah.
And they increased it to 174 this past assessment cycle as of January 1st of 2020. So again, if there's a way to make yourself more competitive in the space. That's what we're here for, to present deals where you can combat little things like this and make yourself a better investor by harping away at property taxes. We've done it for Phil Kim. I've done it for Jeb Brilliant. Done it for a handful, not 100 clients, but dozens and dozens of clients. Happy to do it for you. But in an effort to simplify things can get really twisted really quickly from a property tax perspective, from an insurance perspective, from a maintenance perspective, from a property management perspective, from a vacancy perspective, all in multifamily, where single family does not have the same level of issues, which is both good and bad for investors.
Well, guys, listen to this. At the end of the day, for those valuing multifamily property, you should care about one thing, and it's NOI, net operating income. You got your rent coming in, you got your expenses coming out, and again, property taxes, insurance, property management, vacancy, and maintenance. 5 things, okay? That's going to give you your bottom line earnings, your net operating income on the property. We got to understand what that is. And if you have a huge tax implication, it's going to take that away. It's going to diminish the value. It's just worth understanding, if nothing else.
100%.
Guys, what I would encourage you to do, if you're watching this stream, you got questions, you got comments, if you have an address you'd like us to underwrite or kind of look at.
Especially a multifamily property.
If you have a multifamily property, we'd love to take a look at it. Give us some comments. Give us a share. Give us a like. And we'd love to help you guys out in what you guys are looking at. Nelly, what do we have in the comments right now? We have anything crazy going on?
As of right now, we've got a comment from Mitchell Brown.
Mitch Brown.
He bought a property in 46218, and he's super happy with the purchase. I know
Excellent.
you guys might think differently on certain properties, but he's super pleased with it.
Well, it's a fascinating thing, and again, I'm not here to speak on anyone's investment criteria, but maybe talk to that, because we've had a couple comments. I know, God, who was that? Texas, Nancy.
Nancy and Rob.
Nancy and Rob, Nancy and Rob were super happy with their duplex purchase, also in 46218. So talk to that, Ev. What do you make of that?
Well, there's nothing wrong. I can't say this enough, and Mitch is a walking example of this because Mitch has bought a handful of properties from us now in 46218, and there's nothing wrong with 46218. I hope someone does like a TikTok duet or whatever of me, crapping all over.
Thank you for saying that.
And it's right here. But
Ryan, please.
I mean it. Yeah, Ryan's going to probably put that together tonight. But I mean it. There's nothing wrong with 46218 because 46218 affords the most opportunity for upside in the entire Indianapolis metro area. So 46218 is fine, much like anything, so long as the reward is worth the risk. So as long as you understand moving into 46218 that the risk is ultra high compared to many of the other urban core zip codes, you're going to be just fine. Where Mr. Brown has had a lot of success is self-managing a lot of these deals and piecing together some seller finance deals where he can maximize his return for a limited amount of risk. God bless America. Nancy and Rob did the exact same thing. Nancy and Rob manage all their properties themselves. So per Clay's point, mitigating one of those 5 pieces: insurance, taxes, vacancy, maintenance, and management. I mean, management is immediately stripped out of that equation for Nancy and Rob. So when they bought their duplex on 19th Street, both sides occupied at $650 a month. They bought it for $70,000 or something like that. They're getting $1,300 a month in return, or in gross rent for a property they're all into for like what, 50, 60. I don't know what they bought it for. Let's call it $60,000. That's a home run, all things, especially if you're not bringing in one of those 5 attributes of taking away from your rent.
What I would say is that you just got to balance risk and reward. And I'm the first guy to speak anti-46218. Not a fan. Don't like it. Don't like it for anyone, frankly. But if you're making good money there, God bless America. What I've noticed is that most people that do well over there are local. And if you're not local, at least you do the management yourself. You got to understand the tenants. You got to know what you're getting into because it's at a bigger amount of risk. The tenant profile over there sucks compared to the rest of the city.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to understand the risk and reward. That's all I'd offer to anyone. I think Ev's opening up the 19th Street duplex.
Yeah, I think it's important to show kind of what the story is here. So again, Nancy and Rob, if you're watching, hi. Thanks for the whiskey.
We're out of that whiskey, by the way, Rob. You got to send some more. It's 2001 East 52nd Street.
It's probably a two-way street. We should probably send him anything before he continues to. Just a thought.
Huh.
Either way. Duet that too while you're at it. $65,000 purchase price, and then here's what you're getting. Even in 46218, again, it's not. I took these pictures myself before Luke came on. This is back in January, February, something. But
it's in good shape.
Yeah, it's in fine shape. So again, like 46218 gets a bad rap, but folks who invest selectively and understand their risk is synonymous with their reward, can do things that the right way. So congrats to Mr. Brown. Congrats to the Wilsons who have done 46218 in an effective way that can maximize their returns. It's a no-brainer when something looks like this and you can get it for nothing.
Let's play this game, Ev. When you're done with that, let's take a look at a different property, kind of a different scale. Let's take a look at 2065 Broadway Street. This property is a 4-unit building, again, purpose-built, almost as a townhome construction, as a 4-unit building. Okay, and so you'll kind of see, Ev's going to show you guys the pictures real quick, but it's a 4-unit walk-up type building. Each unit's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, probably 1,500, 1,600 square feet. It's a big building, right, this thing. And I've got extensive experience with this building, but it's curious because it's not a duplex. There are not a whole lot of 4-unit buildings left in the city, just due to the way the city was kind of constructed out, right? Not a whole lot left with it.
Yeah, why would you build 4 units when you can build 20 on the same lot? It's always confused me, but I'm thankful for it nonetheless.
And guys, this building's at the corner of 21st and College, closer to downtown, right next to a park. It's a super, super well-located piece of real estate. This building's unique in the fact that it's 4 units purpose-built. Again, you can have 4-unit buildings across the city. It's super rare. I'd go as far as to say it's extremely rare to have a 4-unit purpose-built property in Indianapolis.
Yeah, 100%.
And so when you're looking at this, again, this is a HUD-regulated, an FHA kind of, not diagnosed, but what they consider
FHA would ensure this is a residential property.
It's a residential 4-unit property, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so when we're looking at this, again, what I always tell people is that in FHA, HUD, we'll have Ryan put the link to the regulations there in the comments, but HUD values these properties under the sales approach to value. And so Ev can talk more about this. He's a certified appraiser, CCIM, dude knows what he's talking about. But with the sales approach to value, you're talking about comparable properties. You're talking about properties that are sold that look like it, feel like it, smell like it, in the same area, in the same neighborhood, right? Anything that's a single-family home all the way to a 4-unit property should be technically valued underneath the sales approach to value. Now, as you approach 2 units from 1 unit, it gets closer to the income approach to value. They start weighing in rent and expenses, and
more weight is placed. Again, it's still traditionally held under the umbrella of sales approach to value.
Correct.
More weight is given to the income approach to value. That's
correct.
For those of you that don't understand the approaches to value, Clay's talking like 201. Clay's living in 2030 here. Appraisers are those who give the disinterested third opinions of value of residential real estate or really anything. Commercial real estate, rings, diamonds, whatever. If you're an appraiser, you give a disinterested third-party value of anything. Real estate appraisers have 3 different ways to approach value. Sales approach to value, which is comparable sales. Send me some comps. Let's see some comps in the thousands. You hear that all the time from dirtbag wholesalers and brokers and everyone else. Okay. Sales approach to value is something comparable would trade for. The income approach to value is how much income does this thing drive in, right? If you have a Walgreens on the corner of
16th and Meridian.
16th and Meridian. It's a CVS.
It's not the CVS.
It is a Walgreens.
I told you.
That's Penn. You're right.
Penn's on a CVS.
You're right.
Told you.
If you have a Walgreens on the corner of 16th and Meridian.
You've left downtown officially.
I don't want to talk about it. 16th and Meridian, Walgreens. No one cares what a comparable Walgreens trades for. That, honest to God, doesn't make a damn bit of difference at all. In fact, you don't even buy the building for what the sticks and bricks are worth. You pay for what Walgreens is paying you every single month. Because Walgreens is an ultra high grade, AAA, worthwhile tenant who can pay you money, and you don't buy the building for what the Walgreens building can give you. You pay for what Walgreens can pay you in rent. That's the income approach to value. Then the third and final approach to value, which I don't even know why it even exists. It's only worthwhile for maybe 6 months, is the cost approach to value. Okay, what's this thing actually cost to build? And that's where you get replacement costs from an insurance perspective.
You're going to have developers come chew your ass out.
I don't care. A brand new house, Estridge, bring it on. A brand new house, whatever it costs to build, that's their argument as appraisers say, well, whatever it costs is what it's worth. So
I understand. That's all good and great. Again, Ev's the technical guy. I'm the idiot of the group. As your single-family house, you're looking at comps. You're looking at sales approach to value. As you approach properties like this on Broadway, the closer you get to 4 units, and certainly 5 units and above, you're getting closer and closer to the income approach to value. You're caring more and more about what this property can bring you in rent versus what similar properties, sell for or look like. Because frankly, like I said, there aren't a whole lot of 4-unit properties in the city. So even if you wanted to pull comps, there's not a lot, right? There's not a whole lot here for you. So assuming these all rent for $1,500 a month, which is probably I don't know, but assuming what it rents out for, let's call it $6,000 a month in gross rent, right? The income approach to value is going to walk you through how to value this property based on how much rent this thing drives. And so I'm not here to walk you through that. I'm not sure if you're trying. I'm not trying to walk through the whole income approach to value, but it's not an ultra complicated thing. But you guys need to keep in mind that as you approach duplexes and as you're trying to buy certainly triplexes and quadplexes and 4 units, it's not about comps. It is to some degree, but it's largely about the amount of rent this property can bring into you. So as you're continuing your search for multifamily property in Indianapolis and beyond, keep it in mind. It's more about rent coming in than it is the true sales approach and comps to getting the value.
Clay, how'd you find this property? What's the story here? This is your. I know the story, obviously.
This is one of the first deals that we did. This is actually on the MLS back in like 2013, I think it was what it was.
Just one quick moment here. I'll load that up for you.
I bought it for $85. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, man, this is it. Click on the picture, see if this has got some good stuff on it. This thing's a peach. Yeah, found it on the MLS, put in an offer, and again, it was just kind of beat up, just a normal-looking joint. If I could buy this again for $85,000, I would do it in a hot second. But regardless, man, we bought this thing in 2013 for $85,000, and now using the income approach to value, it's probably worth $350,000, $400,000 all day long.
Yeah, maybe more. But it's again ultra well located. But something we'd encourage any one of our investors to work alongside is, we sit here talking about Alex and Grayson's deal. They bought it for $85,000. They put 20 into it or whatever, 25 into it. They're all in for $120,000. That's good and great. But if you're all into something for $120,000 or you bought it for $85,000 and it brings in $10,000 in rent, the city of Indianapolis and frankly the whole state of Indiana operates under its use. What are you using the thing for? If you're using it as an income producing property, they're going to tax you on and frankly it's going to be interpreted by other investors or potential appraisers, banks, investors, you name it. Anyone whoever is going to be a part of this property again is going to interpret this thing as an income producing property. So just something to be very, very aware of, that because you buy something for $85,000 and if it brings in a bunch of money in rent, you're not going to be in a good and bad way. They're not going to say, they're going to hold your feet to the fire and say you bought it for $85,000 so it's worth $85,000 or whatever. Yeah. That's a very, very, very medieval way of looking at it. So what about New Jersey or something like that?
Well, I tell you what, we did a duplex, we did a 4-unit. Why don't we do a bigger property? Why don't we do that deal on Whittier that we wholesaled? And just kind of show what a commercial property truly looks like. So what I was going to show you guys is again, duplex mainly leaning on the sales approach. There are more duplex in the city than there are 4 units in apartment buildings. 4 units kind of more difficult to find. So you got to lean more on the income approach and do the sales approach. Not as much about comps, it's more about rent. Now, when you're looking at 3825 Whittier, which is what we're pulling up right now, this is entirely, because it's more than 5 units, it's 5 units or above, its value is entirely based on the income approach to value. How much rent can this property bring in?
Because obviously no one's going to buy this and then trade it to live in it or trade it to
no one cares.
Enjoy a vacation home on 38th and Sherman.
Nobody gives a shit. Here's what I encourage you guys to think about. Whether it's this building or the Empire State Building means no difference. It's all about how much money that piece of real estate, that dirt, can generate in rent, right? How much income can that thing bring in, right? So the Empire State Building has a whole lot of stories, a whole lot of square footage, office tenants, retail tenants paying rent.
Residential tenants.
Residential tenants, so everyone's paying income coming into the owner of that property, okay? On top of that, they also have a whole bunch of parking spaces, which generate rent. A whole bunch of
vending machines,
antenna space, right? Everyone's paying rent on this building. So this entire idea of generating rent and revenue is the number one thing the owner of the Empire State Building cares about. The same way that Andrew cares a lot about the amount of revenue this building can drive.
So what type of rent does this thing drive? Not just
I think it's on the
residential
MLS.
space,
Andrew and Sophie could, or Andrew and
I guess I should back up. Not necessarily what does it drive per unit, but what other ways of income does this thing possibly
what I
produce?
see a lot of this stuff too is parking, right? So if you can charge $10 a parking space, if you got limited parking or street parking for a building like this, parking's a big deal. Vending's a big deal. You have a Coke machine or something like that in there. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if it's doing $200 a month, that's $2,400 a year. That capitalized at 10% cap rate is $24,000. That's a big deal when it comes to value.
Even laundry is something you see a lot.
Laundry's a huge deal. Storage is a big deal.
Storage, laundry, things like that. In fact, we have an apartment building coming up in Terre Haute that we just put in our contract, which is extremely rare. But it's again for the same reason. I mean, if you can charge another $200, $300 a month just from a laundry or a washing machine, dryer, whatever,
anything,
that could or could not exist independent of this multifamily product. You're talking about another $300. If you're getting $650, $700 a unit, you're getting half the rent without building out another kitchen, another bathroom, whatever. So there are a lot of things to get excited about with this property, or with a property like this. And this is why multifamily is so exciting. Is when people say value add, something like vending or laundry or parking or refurbishing units is always something that gets people excited. So I'm sitting here just scrolling through pictures, A, because it's fun to look at, but B, because there's so much value in something like this, a big brick 12-unit building in a zip code where we have a lot of success, 46226 Lawrence. Check out the last deal discovery subsequent to this deal here for the Far East Side Township valuations.
And the other thing I should mention too,
this deal again is a brick 12-unit value add opportunity, which everyone seems to be looking for nowadays.
Yeah, and the fact that it sold a couple of years ago now is telling, because I mean everyone wants to have this in their portfolio. It's a brick shit house. Shout out Dan and Kelly Perez, brick shit house. It's an apartment building, 12 units. It's a slam dunk deal. And I think what was cool about this deal it's a 12-unit building, but it had another 2,000-3,000 square feet in the basement.
Look at that.
Right. So nice pink toilet. Check that out.
There's your Empire State Building right there.
There you go. New York, baby. But it had 3,000 square foot in the basement that hadn't been built out yet.
That's value add.
So again, if you want to frame that in and put units in the basement, cool. You're a 12 unit. If you're making $1,000 a unit, that's a $12,000 monthly, income coming in. If you can convert the bottom 3 units, now that's $15,000 coming in, which capitalized at 10% cap rate is $150,000 in value.
Or my personal favorite, and again, I hate to sound like a slumlord when I say this because it makes me sound
like a
greedy. But a lot of folks will pay $20, $30, $40, $50 a month for access to just normal old storage, like just a place to put their crap. So again, I don't own any storage units anymore. Shy that warehouse that guy won't pay me on, but it's a very unique way to maximize value on something that you don't have to spend any money on. There's no framing, there's no bathroom, there's no kitchen, there's no appliances. Build out something, put a padlock on it, and charge someone $50 a month. It's a great way for value out on a piece of otherwise useless space and something like that.
Well, think about it. The moral of the story is very simple. How do we maximize the space we have, the real estate, the fee simple interest in the real estate we have, in order to maximize the amount of revenue coming in? Because every dollar that comes in gets what's called capitalized, and that's where the term cap rate comes from, is capitalization rate. How do we take the income that's coming in, and how do we value that dollar? Because it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal when it comes in. And as far as a 12-unit, 15-unit apartment building, every dollar that comes in that's increased in NOI, net operating income, increase the amount of value enormously. So maybe that's the difference here between, and a takeaway from the duplex to the 4-unit to the 12-unit building is the difference between sales approach to value and comps to income approach to value and rent. So you have to know both in order to invest in multifamily successfully.
Like, for example, what Clay is saying here, and any appraiser will tell you the same thing. When you take an NOI of $100,000 and divide it by a cap rate, let's call it 10%. Okay, so if you want to make 10% on your money, and you're making $400,000, or let's call it $40,000 a year. $40,000 divided by 10% is $400,000. What you would pay for that asset to get $40,000 a year, make 10%. 40 divided by 10 is $400,000. Okay, that's very, very easy to understand. Now, if you can increase your NOI up to $50,000, just $10,000, 25% difference between 40 and 50. $50,000 divided by that same capitalization rate. If someone wants to make the same amount that you want to make, and you can increase it by $10,000, boom, your value goes from $400 to $500, right? 50 divided by 10%, $500,000. That's a massive increase from an income-producing property as opposed to something that's in the sales comparable or the sales approach to value space, the residential single-family stuff.
That's why people like the multifamily space, because you can control your own valuation.
Every last little second of it.
You're not depending on Mr. Jones across the street to mow his grass
Right.
and paint his house the right color, right?
Yeah, or it's. I always get this question all the time. Hey, how much does a new roof add in value? How much does a air conditioner add in value? You don't know. You don't know. You just have to guess. And unfortunately, when you own a single-family property, you'll never really know until the appraiser tells you. But if you can justify something in value, in rent, in a contract, a legally binding contract that someone's paying you every single month to have access to, that's value. And you capitalize every single cent that comes in, boom, your value goes to the roof. So not to say that the multifamily is the most attractive investment, especially nowadays.
Clearly not.
Certainly, definitely not the most aesthetically attractive. But, oh my. But it certainly is the most, the one you can control the most, and the one you can add the most upside fiscal value to, or at least balance sheet paper value to, out of the deals that we work with here at Mainstay Property Group.
Ryan, any questions or anything we got going on? Any addresses we can underwrite before we get out of here?
As of right now, we don't have any.
We are out of addresses entirely. So, guys, listen up. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to email us, Clay at Mainstay Property Group, Evan at MainstayPropertyGroup.com. We're excited to help you guys out. We love to walk through multifamily properties. We do it a little bit too often as it is. But in the meantime, man, we're happy to educate you guys a little bit on how we think through multifamily properties. And as always, if you guys disagree with us, let's talk about it.
And for the same token, Clay's right. We love talking about it, but more than that, we love selling stuff. Shout out to my good friend Dan Perez, who is leaving Indianapolis here in the next couple hours, but spent Thursday through today coming to town, hanging out with us, talking real estate. And he's actually buying one of the deals that we talked about last week on Pawnee when Luke was here.
Deal Discovery.
Loose lips sink manships. And Luke is here on last week's Deal Discovery talking about 3025 Pawnee. And Dan was here to essentially catch what Luke was dropping by. So congrats to Dan for picking that deal up. But more than answering questions, this is an opportunity to learn more about deals and actually take a jump on investing. So if there's something we can underwrite, ask questions, or answer questions on, address concerns on, this is what this whole episode's here for. So feel free to shout us out.
In the meantime, guys, cheers. Thanks for joining us on Indy Deal Discovery. You'll catch us again. Won't catch me again here for the next little while.
I'll be in Jamaica, man.
For the next little bit. We'll catch you guys in a couple weeks. Cheers. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys soon.